trust over there. When people take responsibility, they are responsible. Sometimes more than you. Now, goes to the South Pole over here. Now guess what? But he took a ship, he took the crew, everything was going fine. It was going across Africa. But there was a big problem. There was a big B-R-O on that. B-L-E-N-M. Ask me what? Then I'll tell you. Ask me what? W on that. H, A, and T. Well, since you asked me, let me tell you. The problem was the sea froze around the ship and he couldn't go, and the rations were getting over, and when sailors were getting impatient, and when he finally reached there, it was already winter. And Antarctica, you know, in the winter, it was so severe. See, so now it was already W-I-N-T-E-N, winter. And so he had to return. But here's the thing about the English. When he returned, he got a hero's welcome because he tried. You know, if it were to be any other country, they would say, "Hey, loser," like that. But no, English people, they like anything that is brave and exploring. See, England is smaller than Texas. If you look at one size, you see England is fitting inside Texas. But then they have that. So he was welcomed like a H-E-R-O, exactly, hero. Well, guess what? Now, well, it took him a time to collect more funds. People would donate, collect more funds, and then to buy another ship, you have to pay the sailors, hire sailors, and this time he was better prepared, and he set sail. So this time he was better, P-R-E, all the way, B-A-R-E, and T, yes, prepared. And he set sail to Antarctica to find the South Pole and put the English flag over there. But this time there was a problem. So this time there was another problem. Things are not that easy. So this time there was another P-R-O-B-L-E and M problem. Like you created some kind of a problem over there. Everything was going fine. Then you discovered, oh, I have to untangle all these tapes. And you created this kind of problem. Sometimes problem comes and sometimes it's self-created. That's the thing. So there was the other big problem. The problem was, it came from this man. He was a Norwegian explorer. He wanted to go to South Pole too. So now he was Roald Anderson, R-O-A-L-D, Roald Amundsen, E-M-U-N-D-S-E-N, not S-O-N, okay, S-E-N, Roald Amundsen, and he was from Norway. So he was from N-O-R-W-A, Norway. Now it is for the world to watch. Who would reach the South Pole first? Like that. Do you think today it matters? Because sometimes long ago, those problems don't matter today. And today's problems won't matter 50 years from now. So do you think today it matters who went to the South Pole first? On that? N and oh no. But then it mattered. It was the question of prestige. England or Norway? So it was a big question of prestige. So Robert Falcon Scott. So here we have the routes they took totally different roots. So we know about his journey because he had left a journal. So every day he would write a journal. That today we did this, today we walked so many miles, trekked so many miles, all those things. So finally he reaches South Pole. So was he successful? Y, E, and S. But when he reached South Pole, he saw the Norwegian flag already planted there. Because what Roald Amundsen did was, he did not trek, he skied, he took husky dogs with him. And those dogs, of course, when you are sledding, you are faster than walking. And he did not tell the secret of his path to anyone. And so he took these D on that O and G as dogs, and the dogs pulled. And so he was faster. See? So over here you may have a very noble kind of a goal. But the problem is, if the pathway, you're not planning that pathway well, you may not get there. You may get there, but someone else would get there earlier. That's the thing. Did you like this story? You tell me. It's a real story. Y, E, and S. Yes. You know, when I was in school, I got this present about stories of exploration. And that's how I got to know about it. It was not in my school book, but because it was outside the thing over there, it was just kind of a extra read. And I really liked this story. And I felt very sad for Robert Falcon Scott then, because his journey, he felt sad. Yes, that's about. Now, this is what we have today. That's the American Research Center. And I know someone who works there. One of my students' dads, he lives in Houston, he works there. So that's a research center. R-E-S. Lift your nose up. E-A. Slowly. Now, if you spell like that, if you muscle it out. E-A-R-C-H. Yes. Just use this elbow, because if you use your elbow versus if you use your wrist, it would be so easy. There's a difference. See, if I'm spelling research, I would do this, like that. I won't be stressed out. So just use your wrist like that. Yes. Research. See? R-E-S-E-A-R-C and H. Yes. Then the pressure on this also becomes minimum. Other than if you just muscle it out. Now, here's the thing. So it is called the Scott Amundsen Research Center. Do you know how fun that work is? So they fly him there, and he stays there for 10 days. So it has research center and ozone hole and all kinds of things that whatever is needed to be researched, they are researching. Penguins, whatever is there. And then after that they bring you back, and then for 15 days you can stay with your children and family. And again, once you're gone, you stay there for, so there's a whole, and then they have replacement scientists. So it is called Scott Amundsen Research Center. So that research center, American Research Center, is called S-C-O-T, and on that. What about T? See what happened? T, yes, Scott Amundsen Research. No. C-E-N-T on that. E and R. Center. Am I frowning? No. Then someone will say Soma is manhandling him. And I'm getting away with it, right? Why? And then say, Soma is manhandling. No, here's the thing. So this was about and exploration. And you know, this is, since we have time, let's look at North Pole. See, this is the old map of North Pole. See, long ago people would describe and someone would draw. And for a long time people thought North Pole was land. So that is called the Mercator's map. MERCADER, Mercator's map. And for a long time people thought that that's a real map of North Pole. And in North Pole they thought that it was LAND, land. And these were the first people who went there. See? Robert Peary and then Matthew Henson. In fact, Matthew Henson was one of the first black explorers, American explorers. Before that, there were no black explorers. So Peary and Henson. So Robert, Peary, Peary, HE on that, NSO and N, Peary and Henson. And here's the thing. They went, and there's the first picture. The picture of North Pole exploration. So you can say, okay, if Peary and Henson went, what are these extra 3 people doing there? Why don't we see their names? Right? So you might wonder, what are those extra people doing? There are 3 other people. Ask me. W, H, who, A, R, E, R, T, H, on that, E, and what? Who are they? Those were the Inuits who took them. Who showed them the way. And this goes to, and the credit goes to Peary and Henson. And they have been going there all the time. See? So those were the Inuits who actually took them over there. So isn't it fun? Y on the E and S. There you go. So all the history that we read based on whoever writes it. See, can you imagine if news is fake? Imagine history.
That's right.
Okay? History was also sort of documented by who knows who. You can have that history, whatever is written, you would say, oh yeah, we don't know the other side of the story. So that's why when you read history, you have to know that someone wrote it and based on someone's point of view. Right? On that. Why? On the nuclear person? Yes, that's the thing. Because everyone looks at an object from a different thing. So for example, those Scotch tapes, they were important for you. Right? Because you put a lot of emotions for them, right? Towards them. Right? Y, E, and S. And it sort of, it was making you it was making you worried because we were not understanding how important that was for you, right? It's all about the perception. So your perception is this is important. And you were getting frustrated, right? Because we were not understanding. Y, E, and S. I can understand. We wouldn't have interrupted so much. Like I feel bad. We wouldn't have interrupted so much. But we were in a kind of a time, kind of a thing. It's a good thing that you came a little early. That's why. Otherwise, that's why we did that. And you see our side also, right? On that? On that. Y, E, and S. Yes. You have to see both the sides because now I feel bad that I don't know when I'll see you again, but I was getting a little worried that you spend a whole lot of things. What else is important for you? On that. O, R, D, E, are order. So you like order. I like order to some extent. But I have this mental map of this is how it would be, and then I get terribly disappointed, but I can adapt. On that. I, C, A, N, D, I can't. always good to adapt slowly, a little bit. So first the deviation would be a little bit. Did you know what the scientists found from space? That the Earth's tilt. See, the Earth is tilted at this kind of an angle. You know what an angle is? The measure of the corner between two lines. At I think 29.5, but now the tilt has become a little more. I saw it on Apple News. See, Apple News has, and the reason that they are saying is, what's the reason? WHAT. What? The reason they are saying is, we are sort of messing up with the Earth's water that is inside the Earth. So below the ground you have groundwater, and the groundwater flows in a particular direction, and we are sort of bringing all the groundwater out. There is so much of civilization, you know, between Texas and Montana. These are two states. There was a large aqueduct, so underground water, a lake is called an aqueduct. So it was an underground, the size of the lake from 2000 to 2025, it has become half. Because people are sort of drilling water, and it's raining, but then we are sealing the ground. We are putting parking lots and all those things, cementing, so rainwater is not going below the ground. It's going back to the air. And so all these things are sort of creating this Earth's tilt, the shift over here. Who knows? Not good, right? And but again, scientists are there to scare us. They were to scare us all the time. Global warming, this, that. Now, in fact, Texas was cooler this year than other years.